Hey guys, it's Andrew Esquivel here back with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing something that I've never really tried to review before. It's a piece of medical equipment, and more specifically, this happens to be a full face mask used for a CPAP machine. Anyone who uses a CPAP machine knows that it's pretty much used for those with sleep apnea, which I suffer from. And I've been using a CPAP machine for about a week and a half now. There's a lot of choices for masks out there, ranging anywhere from nose pillows to just your nose to your whole face, or I've even seen pictures of one for your entire head. Now, as far as full face masks go, this is one of the more compact versions that I like to think of, because a lot of times you'll see ones that don't just cover the mouth, they go over to your forehead and have a bunch of different types of straps and things like that. There's many different models, but this is the one that I've been using for the past week and a half, and I've noticed some flaws with it. So anyone who's looking out there for, maybe what mask they might want to consider, because there's a lot of different masks, there's different brands, different models, and here's one that I've used for a little food for thought here. So this one's from ResMed, and it happens to be the Quattro FX. Now, this is a size medium, and for my general head, it's a little small. Some people need it in this size that are my general face shape. Some people, maybe a little bigger, maybe a little smaller. I don't know, because everyone's a little different. But let me go over some details of this mask. Now, if we actually take the mask apart, which I'm not going to take it fully apart, but I will do a little bit of a breakdown here, is this part right here, which is the flappy plastic, actually can be taken off, and it's not a part that I normally remove, so I don't want to really fiddle with it right now. This part right here, obviously, this is where the hose goes in. It can be removed. So, issue number one is, if you're like me, sometimes you don't want to remove the hose necessarily. You want to have this quick release. So I'm not really entirely sure. It's supposed to be a quick release, but it seems to work as that. Sometimes during CPAP therapy, if you'll notice, there's a gap. And there's multiple lines for this. Sometimes it doesn't close all the way. Sometimes it comes out just a little bit. Not totally to the part where it will fall off, not totally to the point where it will fall off, but enough so that it starts to leak a little bit of air. So that's issue number one. Issue number two is the way this exhausts air. Now, there appears to be a flap down here. And I'm sorry this camera's not that great, guys. There seems to be a flap down here, which opens up a little bit for air for your mouth. It has these holes, as I'm sure you've noticed, for exhausting the positive pressure air that comes through. There's also a valve right here, which is somewhat a one-way valve. If you're getting air in, there's a little flap that goes up to allow air. If you're pushing air out, the flap goes down to exhaust it here. Now, this all works fine in theory, but in practice, it's a little flawed, to say the least. I find myself oftentimes that it cannot exhaust air quickly enough, causing very uncomfortable breathing. And because of that, there are some other issues that arise from this issue. And I'll actually be demonstrating what I mean. Okay, so this is the comfort portion right here. This is the part that goes on your face. If we flip it up a little bit, you'll see that there's actually two stages. There's a thicker plastic and a thinner plastic, or I want to say rubbery material. But you'll notice that there's two, and both of which can be taken off at the same time. Now, this gets taken off for cleaning purposes. This is the comfort portion, as I was saying before. And it sits on your face like this. when it's on your face. Now, the issue is nothing is really holding this in other than the tension from these slots that it sits in. So if you put this back together, which it's not very hard, you just slide it back in to its little grooves, and it's back in. But this is the issue. When you're sleeping, if these straps are not tight enough, if it's in a comfortable position, and it doesn't seem like anything's wrong yet, this is normally when you're laying on your back. Seems all hunky-dory, all that stuff. You flip to your side. It starts to come off. It'll, mainly in the top areas, it will come off like that, just ever so slightly, and the positive pressure will then leak from the mask at that point, causing the therapy to not work. Also, it causes air to blow right in your eyes, which is also annoying, and over your face, which is also annoying. And then you think to yourself, well, okay, it's part of the mask, it's supposed to come off, but not like that. I'll just tighten it, right? Shouldn't be too big of a deal. It's a little more strain in the back of my head, whatever. Well, then you get another issue. You see these parts right here, these the inner thicker rubber plasticky part that I was talking about earlier? Well, then if you put it too tight, it really clamps down right here on your nose. And it hurts. To the point where it's like, okay, maybe I could deal with this for like an hour, but if I'm not asleep by then, I've got chronic insomnia, really bad insomnia, so I'm tossing and turning for 2 to 3 hours a night before I fall asleep. After about an hour, like, dude, this just hurts. I can't deal with this. So it's either I loosen it up and have it leak, or I just take it off. You're just not getting it to do what you want it to do. And let's say it does actually work for the time that you need it to work for, until you get to sleep. Well, I've actually noticed many days that I'll fall asleep with the mask on, and maybe I'll just be laying on my back to make sure none of the malfunctions happen. And I double check, triple check everything, pressure check with the CPAP machine, make sure the seal is tight. But then I'll wake up 10, 12 hours after sleeping. I have hypersomnia as well, so getting up is very difficult for me. So that's another reason why I'm trying to use a CPAP machine. And I'll wake up, and the mask won't be on. And I'll sit up and think to myself, I don't remember taking the mask off. I'm like, well, what the heck happened? Did I get up to use the restroom and not put it back on? Or so I'll look in the ground, and my mask will be on the ground next to the CPAP machine, and it's still connected to the hose and everything, and I'll look at it and be like, oh, well, what the heck? Turns out, half the time, these straps, which are what you use to adjust it, they kind of like Velcro in a sense, they're supposed to hold tight, but sometimes they fall off. They literally come undone as you sleep, which is not good, because then you lose the pressure, or even worse, the mask falls off. Not a good situation. And other days, I'll look at it, and okay, these are still on, so what happened? Well, the second part of the anchoring system is, I'm trying to get a good view for you guys here, but that right there, okay, goes in really easily. And problem is, if you turn to your side, you could very easily and potentially push these latches in. It doesn't take much, less than a pound of pressure, easily, like a baby could do it, just comes right off. So if you're laying on your side and your pillow pushes in on these, there's a good chance that the straps may fall off. So all in all, there's so many flaws with this mask. I can't imagine that this would be a higher end mask. I mean, this is the only one that I've tried. And I'll let you guys know this fact. This is just a temporary mask, and I got a temporary machine. I'm not going to go into details as to why, but once I get a new mask, I'll test it out for a while and let you guys know any differences. But all in all, the ResMed Quattro FX is a very flawed mask. It's got issues upon issues, and if you're starting CPAP therapy and you're doing a little research as into which mask you think might be right for you, you might look at this one because maybe your insurance covers it and it's maybe one of the few options you have. This is not a good mask. I don't like to do bad reviews, but this is a serious piece of medical equipment that I need for daily life. It's something I have to use every single day, and when it does not work 90% of the time, there are some issues that go along with it. Now that being said, I did have one night that it worked flawlessly, but that was the second night that I used it. And normally I sleep around 10 to 12 hours every day because of sleeping issues. When this did work, I slept 6 hours and was completely fine. That was a huge deal to me because I normally can't do that. So I was really hoping that this would be the answer to my problems. Unfortunately, it is not, because I used it, like I said, for about a week and a half, and 90% of the time there is some sort of malfunction with the mask that makes it not work. So as far as ResMed goes, they do have other options, and some of their other options are much more secure, are a bit more advanced, have better seals, all that stuff. So when you're looking into this stuff, know your options and do some research, because you might find that the one you need is not necessarily the one that the doctor gives you. This was given me by my sleep doctor, like I said, as a temporary thing, but I figured I might as well go over it anyway, because if you need it, be aware of the issues. You don't want to have to wait a week and a half of failed attempts with the CPAP machine to know that this mask sucks. So that's really all there is to say about it. Hope you guys learned some very important facts about this thing. Hope you guys enjoyed the video too. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.